just filter it. This is a really thick calico cloth. So I'm going to obviously waste a bit, but I mean it's better than throwing away the turpentine because it's dirty. Using literally just like the biggest syringe I could find. Yeah, there's obviously bigger ones, but this is one of my syringes from Bella Bella Urban Farming that we use with the donkeys. And so I took one of the ones that I don't actually like using with the donkeys, because all I ever use them for actually is to flush out wounds and abscesses and stuff. And this the tip, I don't know, what do you call it? Is too small. So I just want to so I'm just going to use this that way. I'm not wasting it because I wasn't going to use it anyway, and I had it on hand, so I didn't have to specifically buy anything. And the only reason I'm using it is because this way I'm not disturbing the sediment too much, so I can just like give it a squeeze here. Like I said, the majority of this is probably going to end up in the cloth. I should consider making a smaller cloth, so that I'm not wasting too much. But for the most part, it should be fine. It's drizzling through nicely. So this is technically not really necessary, but I just want to catch like any other fine particles that might be around. So the color is pretty. It's okay. So I'm going to end up again with 2 bottles as I usually do. So one is my first rinse and the second one's my second rinse. So that I don't mess with the colours and I don't mess up too much turpentine at one time. But yeah, I just, the most part, I'm starting to realise that this might not be the smartest move. So I don't know if you were to compare the colours, they're pretty much exactly the same. So I'm going to just take this guy off, not bother with it, because, you know, essentially I'm going to be wasting a decent amount of paint like this. I'm not going to throw this away, I'm just going to keep it on hand, because this is going to be quite cool to wipe my brushes on as I clean them. So I'm going to carry on with this, because I really don't want to disturb the I wonder if I should cut off this tip. It's gonna like make it more, I don't know, more anything, but more sort of like usable. This is not the loveliest of. I don't know how weird would it be to just go bing and then just shove it back in again. I realized how there's like this dust on the table. It's actually from, I was burning incense yesterday. We did like a major spring clean. So I just burnt some white sage in my room. Just while we're clearing out the space, clear out the space a bit. And yeah. I'm kind of hoping that the sound isn't an absolute disaster. There's a fairly good chance that will happen. Simply because I'm kind of leaning off to the side, and that doesn't necessarily mean the sound's going to be okay. And you might hear my housemates series in the background. They're in the lounge watching their Afrikaans stuff, and I'm not generally opposed to watching Afrikaans stuff, but the series are kind of weird. Okay, it's not weird, it just feels kind of plastic, I guess. And yeah, I'm not a big fan. I used to watch Seven Alone with my grandmother, but that was literally because, you know, it was something I was doing with my grandmother. It wasn't because I was, you know, the biggest Stephen DeLong fan. And that was usually only holidays anyway, so. Oh, I think I pulled up some of the sediment now. So I'm just going to squash this back and let it stand again. I definitely pulled up some of the sediment. It's immediately like murky, which is a little bit not nice. So what I'm going to do, so that I don't have to deal with all of the sediment again, I'll just throw some paint over it. I'm going to chuck it like the in here as carefully as I can, and then I think I'm already leaving a bunch of the sediment behind. I mean, look at that. That's, yeah, but this is, you know, a while. I reuse my turpentine a lot. It's not, turpentine's fairly cheap, so it's not because it's expensive or anything. I don't use special odorless ones or anything like that. My room is fairly open, and which is kind of where I do this shit. It's literally just, it feels kind of unnecessary because disposing of mineral turpentine is kind of a pain in the ass. So the more I reuse it, the better it is in general. So I'm just going to put this away. Here we go. Okay, I want to show you something cool, something that I'm pretty proud of. So I usually use this guy when I am doing when I'm painting, especially I have classes once a year, so it's a week and it's sort of like a catch up on what we've achieved and, you know, some pointers to fix up anything that bad habits that we might have picked up, or, you know, learning an extra something. And so we use this when we're doing the classes. So technically, like, I've used it a couple of times at home, but it's a slight pain in the ass because it's really big and my space is quite small, and I usually end up only using about a third of it. So I had to figure out a plan of what I can do instead. So I have like a combination of things that I use actually. First of all, there's this guy, and this is probably like the most important part of the thing. So this is paint from 2 weeks ago. When did I do these guys? I can't remember. I have to check dates, but I did this week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I did these, and these are leftover covers. So I've got this one, and there's 2 or 3 other paintings that I was working on at the same time. So I mix the colors and then I keep them. And the nice thing about this is now I'm just going to use like a fresh paintbrush, and just like it forms like a little bit of a seal on top of it, but if you just squash it open a tiny bit, there's still all of this fresh paint. I mean, the joys of oil, right? There's all this fresh paint. Even these like little piles, if I squash it, there's going to still be some paint underneath. So I waste a lot less paint in the process, just by closing it up like this. Technically I can put it in the fridge, but I just keep it in a cool place in my bedroom, so then it's not an issue. So this is basically where I keep the paint then, and then when I'm mixing new colours, I'll do it on here as well. I'd like the pink as a contrast to actually see the colours. So if I'm working, like with this, I'm working from a photo. So if I'm looking at it on white, for example, which is there, it becomes a little bit difficult to judge the colours and the tones and that kind of thing. But as soon as you've got a little bit of colour in the background, the pink's a bit bright, but it's better than white. Then there we go. So the thing is, it's pretty uncomfortable to try and work inside this when I'm busy painting actually. So what I've done is a while ago a friend of mine cut these for me, and so I've done some work on it. It's literally just what do they call it, pressed wood, or I can't remember, it's some fancy what's his name, and I just covered it in DC-Fix, so it's got this nice layer on it. So for the most part, as long as I'm not using palette knife on it, it doesn't scratch or anything. So I'll move the paints from there to here, and then this is where I'll use it, and then as I move on to the next painting I put this stuff back, and then I'll clean it and, you know, restart with whichever painting, because I move between paintings. So this way I don't have to, like, it also reduces the waste in the paint, because I can just put it back in and use it again and put it back in and use it. And yeah, it's also got, the colour's nice, so judging the contrasts and stuff also is fairly easy, which is, I like it, it's quite cool. Close this off for now. So something that I've learned to do, I should actually put Lady out of the way for a second. Something that I've learned to do, which is a lot of fun, is pretty much the same way that one would warm up before an exercise or something like that. I like doing something sort of with no expectations. So I'll grab some paint, usually acrylic. I've got a box of really cheap acrylic, and I'll just use that. And then I do a sort of simple painting, and it's literally just to get in the zone. It's sort of like preparing to start painting. So these are the ones that I did when I was actually painting those ones previously, doing the first couple of layers. And yeah, so I'm going to do something like this now. You can watch me be completely weird, and it's free, and because there's no expectations, you're literally just getting yourself into putting paint on something again, and just getting in the zone and stuff. So yeah, this is the mission now. Okay, here we go. So this is my practice piece. I wet it a tiny bit to just help spread the paint. So like I mentioned before, it's literally just to like relax and get into it, and you know, sort out, you know, to if I have any, I think actually, if I have any, I don't know, I feel like I need to go fetch the art abilities. I'm fetching it slowly but surely. So I have a bunch of super cheap paints. This is Iris. It's actually not bad. So I remember when I was in primary school, it was sort of like a weird watercolor setup that we literally just painted using watercolor. And anyway, so one of the things that we learned is, so we use basically the primary colours. So we use red, blue and yellow, and you can quite literally mix anything from this. So one of the things is, if you're painting, if you're trying to approach black, you don't actually use black, especially if you're trying to layer a paint on paint. It doesn't work so well. So what I do is I mix red and blue, and then add like a tiny smattering of yellow to just take it out of the purple range and just like slight bit into the brown range. So one of the things that we learned is basically you need 2 blues and 2 yellows. This is sort of like, you know, a little bit of, what is it, shade craft, or what is it? So the only reason I have them specifically is, first of all, if you try and make an orange with a lemony yellow, something that's literally a little bit more lemony. I literally have lemon yellow here, lemon yellow, but the more lemony it is, the sort of like lighter and brighter it is, the less orangey the color is. So to get a really good orange, I use a darker or a deeper yellow. In this case, it's cadmium yellow, and then I use the alizarin. I'm not really full of nonsense about which red I use, but the sort of darker and more robust it is, the better it works in general. So then I use that to make the orange. That being said, the green doesn't really make, if you mix this yellow with blue, it makes a really dirty green, and you don't want a dirty green. You want a light and vibrant green. You can use dirty green, obviously, there's always a good time for it, but you want to be able to make a sort of brighter green as well. So that's where the lemon yellow comes in. So again, the Prussian blue is really dark, and it's got a lot of body, and it's actually got it's a little bit, it's as though they've added a little bit of cadmium in it. It's got that like slight tinge. So in order to make like a really nice green, I use the cobalt blue. I'll demonstrate all of this now. I use the cobalt blue instead, and it makes a really, really nice green. And then we move back to the purple again. So with the red and the Prussian blue, the sort of like deeper, more serious blue, it makes a very serious purple, or something that you can use as a black. Whereas if you use the cobalt blue, it makes a purple that's a little bit more violetish, and it's I don't know how to explain it. It's just a nicer purple in general. And then just because I'm using a tinted background, I use white. So this is in a pill bottle, but okay, it's a little bit more grey. But it's usually just like a tiny dot as needed where it's needed. And this is literally just I have a 1 liter of acrylic paint that I use to prime my canvases with. It's a very chalky paint, so I mixed that with a little bit of a plasticky acrylic paint, so it's got this sort of halfway texture to it, which is kind of nice, because it's nicer to have that smooth plasticky texture rather than the chalky texture. The chalky texture gets it's kind of distracting, I think, in a certain sense. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squash out a little bit of each one of these to show the I'm thinking I should probably put my lamp on to just up there. It's really cloudy. Oh gosh. So maybe consider just adding a little bit of light on the subject. I think that should do. See what that looks like. That looks pretty good. Okay, so listening to my YouTube Epic Gaming mixes. I really like those mixes. So let's go start with this, with the red. Just gonna put like a small squash. This is really, it's a powerful color. The red is really dark and it's really vibrant, and you really need very little of it, especially if you're mixing it with something. Okay, so then I'm going to put a little bit of cobalt here, and a little bit of Prussian. I'm kind of putting them on a, slight scale of dark to light, and then I'm going to go with the cadmium, just a little bit more, and then with the lemon. Now the cool thing is you can literally make every single color that you can think of just with these colors. It's nice to have a couple of other colors when you're bringing it in to especially things that were pre-mixed and a specific quality, especially if you're doing a large painting and you're going to have to be mixing paint again and again. But if you're doing something small like this, just grabbing the paints, these colors is more than enough to get the thing across. So I don't have, like the paintbrushes have seen better days. I have a bunch of others. I usually, when I go to my art classes, it's just once a year, I start with new paintbrushes. But in general, this is more than sufficient for me. I got some that I use a lot, like this guy I cut to give it a sort of an edge. It's not perfect, but it's really nice. But they're all sort of, cheap, low range colors, paint at least. So I'm gonna just grab piece of, what's it, I don't know what you call it, just toilet paper, I guess, but it's these fancy rolls. Where's it? These guys, these kitchen towels. That's what it's called, kitchen towels. And then just my water, because it's acrylic, so I'll be using water as the sort of like extending medium. And what I'm going to do first is I want to show you the different colors that I was speaking of and how they sort of speak to each other, and why they're different in each situation. So I'm going to make a purple with the cobalt and a purple with the Prussian, and then I'm going to make a tiny little bit of that here. That's good. There we go. Just going to spread it so maybe you can get the vibe of what this color looks like essentially. It's going to dry fairly quickly, but that's okay. So this is when I mix the Prussian and the Laseron. That's what it comes out as. And then immediately, and this is like, I love this bit. I feel as though there's too much red here actually. I like this bit a lot. So immediately if I mix the cobalt with the Laseron, the immediate difference in the color. Okay, so I've got more blue and less red, but you get the idea definitely comes across. So that's how different the two are, which is really cool. So I'm going to add a tiny little bit of white with each one, and just give you so that it shows, really like shows the color off. Look at that. See how I got it brings out the color immediately. This is the only time you're allowed to add white, is if that's what you're trying to achieve. Just add a little bit of water here. And I'll just do the same thing here. Look at that. Look at that! And that's just, it's the same red, two different blues, and that's the effect that you get. So I'm going to show you the green, if I'm using the Prussian blue. I'm going to show you the green with Prussian blue and with the cobalt and the cadmium and the lime yellow. And just grab some of this. So like the ratios change as you go. Let's make this on a little bit. I think I want to add some more. Just really make you see the colour that comes out. There we go. So it's a fairly nice green. But like I said, it's kind of, it's brownish. It's not quite as bright as I would actually like it to be. And then if we add some lemon yellow to the Prussian on this side, we get something that looks like this. This is nice. It's a beautiful sea green. Now add some more blue and maybe just a smattering of purple to just give it that sea green vibe. I'm actually going to do that so I can show you how cool it is. I'm going to add purple instead of blue and purple. Just add a little bit of purple. Just go like this. I'm messing up my nicely put down color palette now. But just a little bit of purple to just up the ante on the color there. And then if we add some white, I'll bring this up so you see what I'm doing. Just add a little bit of white. There we go. And this nice sea green vibe. How nice is that? That's really cool. Fantastic colour. So I'm going to add some white to the sky so that we can show again how the colour just comes up and why it's not really a nice green colour. Look at that. So it's cool, it's nice, but it's not. If I want to make green, it's not really necessarily what I'm looking for. And then the sky. Okay, well it looks very much like that. But here we go. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same with and do the bottom here. Leave some space for the orange. So put some blue for, oh, that's a lot of blue, actually, that's fine. So now instead of the Prussian, we're going to be using the, folding this beyond recognition, I'm going to have no paper left to use. The mixing it with the cadmium on the one side. Give it a good dose. So this is very similar to that, but it's already a little bit brighter just because you changed the blue. It's already a different green. Look at that. Actually like that a lot. That's almost what I go for. That can work nice with the shadows. Just add a tiny dash of red, and then to use it as the green shadows would be amazing. Just add some white here. Look at that. It's a very nice colour. There we go. I really hope the sound works out. It might not, but you know. You can always turn it up. That's what editing's for, right? And then do the same with a little bit more with the, so this is my green. This right here, this is my green. The you'll see I'll might show you when I'm busy with the oil painting. What happens very often with acrylic is there's some white in there, and that's why it's so milky. So I'm not going to add white to bring out the color, but this is a nice green. I really like this green. So when I'm going for green, this is what I start with, and then I'll work from that whether I'm going to go lighter or darker for the shadows or the highlights or whatever the situation might be, by adding a little bit of red and then some, you know, white or blue to make it darker or lighter. Well, white for lighter and blue for darker, but always a little bit of red to just, it kind of gives it body. You just throwing a little bit of that opposite color in. Even if it's visible, you don't even have to mix it properly, so it just like pops through, and it just speaks to the green, and it makes it speak so loud. It's really cool. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the orange. So let me just do this. Okay. This is actually a cool practice run all on its own. I almost need to do a warm-up painting now, because really my brain's doing the processing thing of, you know, colours and hues and tones and stuff. So this is an amazing orange. I love this orange so much. Look at that. I kind of want to paint my nails but this colour. This is really cool. There you go. So I'm not going to add white to these because the colour, and then just adding the lemon yellow, and add a little bit more. The lemon yellow. See I guess it's fairly the same. The only difference is it's the same as this. It's really milky. It's very, very milky. But that right there, that's my colour. That is an amazing, amazing colour. So just, well, I'm hoping you can see. So this guy is the alizarin, the really deep, bulky red with the really deep, bulky blue. That makes that purple. And then this purple over here, the sort of more like violety feel to it, is the same red but with cobalt blue instead of red. And then we've got over here is the two greens but made with the Prussian blue. So the deep bulky blue produces with the cadmium, it produces this green, and with the, was it that way around? Yes, and with the lemon it produces this green. So this is a nice sea green, mixing it with some, you know, deep rich blues and like a little bit of sandy color coming through the waves. This is really nice. And then these two are the cobalt blue with the cadmium producing this green, which is very similar to that but not quite, and then producing the green. So this is technically my favorite green, but with the oils there's no white in the mix. They didn't put white in. You have to add white later. You have to add white later to just, you know, add that little bit of visibility on the color. But this is the green that I like most of all. And then with the two oranges, there's the alizarin, the deep bulky red again, with some cadmium, and this is my favorite orange. This is like deep, and I like deep colors. Like you've got to see that that's the color that you're going for, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much. And then the same red with the lemon yellow producing this guy. Again, the milkiness is not, this is really just it's a cheap acrylic paint thing. As soon as you go to a higher quality, more expensive paints, you're not going to be dealing with these kind of issues. This is literally just because, I mean, these are my play paints. I make a bunch of, all of those are acrylic. So that's literally just me practicing, and because oil is, it's not because, you know, technically speaking, I end up probably with about the same price range as I do with the check that it's fine. Basically, because it's so much easier to work and clean up again afterwards with acrylics, it's why I end up, just give it a twist that way, I should do. That's why I use the acrylics for practice pieces, and to just, because most of the time the long-term maintenance on color for acrylics is fairly poor. The color does come down with time, but I guess it depends. Like everything depends on a bunch of stuff. But I really like my oil paint because I can work on it again and again and again, and it sort of like wakes up and, you know, speaks with you again. And I like that about oils. As long as you don't wait too long, you can pretty much go back on the oil and work through it again, and add a layer and give it some bulk and feeling again and again and again. And that, for me, I guess that's really why I enjoy oil so very much. So I don't actually know what I'm going to be painting here. I think I'm just gonna look for maybe a flower. I got a friend who is a photographer, and what I do very often is when I find her stuff on Facebook and Instagram, I steal it, and then I just keep it around, and then I want to do a little practice painting, I just go and I go and fetch it. Let's see. So I can always grab photos from Pinterest or one of the photography sites and stuff, but the hassle for just copywriting and using other people's work and that kind of thing is a pain. And Roxy's pretty chill about me using her paintings, her photos as paintings. Now, one of the nice things is she does a lot of flower photography and nature and that kind of thing, and especially if you're doing sort of like no expectations, as long as the tree looks like a tree, it doesn't really bother. So it works really well as practice pieces. So you can go wrong as long as it still looks like a tree or a mushroom or whatever, a flower or a bird, then it's more or less fine. It doesn't have to look like a specific bird, the way portrait art needs to look like the person. Okay, well, not necessarily, but yeah, I'm sure you get the idea that I'm going for. So I'm gonna paint some mushrooms. So let me just grab this guy, should work pretty well. So I'm going to do the basic drawing in some cadmium because it shows up but it can disappear into the painting quite easily, so that's quite cool. And just very basic, you know, outline to say, okay, this is more or less what it's going for. I don't even know what these mushrooms are called, but just give it a... They're really cute mushrooms. Oh, with the lemon. Also the cadmium. There's a baby in the corner here. Let's give her some bulk. Got some bulk there. And then oh, I keep going for the lemon. She goes in a bit here. There we go. And then there's one at the back here, so I'll deal with that when I'm actually doing the painting. So then there's another one over here. Goes more like this. There we go. And down again. It's got a really nice shape there. Just down like that. I messed up the shape now. After I said it's such a nice shape, let's just make it bigger and fix that shape a bit. There we go. And sticky. Oh, this is a nice one. This one goes kind of choo and it ends up in front here. It's had some interesting growing days. There you go. And then here's another one here at the back, but it's a little bit more sort of obvious and bulky. So that other one that's hiding at the back here is, comes down here. And the only reason I'm adding it is because it's creating a really nice line along here. So I'm going to add that one so that I know I can just go back and add it in. And then just do this guy like this. It comes out here. So general idea, there's something there. And then okay, I'm not going to worry too much about the background. I'm just going to bring it out, but there's these pieces of sort of like bark and wood that's coming out here. Oh, this guy needs a stem, right? So it comes out just past this guy and ends up just behind it. Okay, should work. And then these really nice, ooh, here's an upside down one. That's a nice effect. Over here, so you've got that feel of the upside down one over there. And here's a little baby one just to give the painting a little bit of body and sort of emotion and feel to it. That's nice. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. Just general idea of got some pieces of bark and wood lying around here. There's a piece up against the stem, but I feel I'm mess around with it if I do that now. There's a piece coming up behind here. And then there's a dark piece. This is too far apart, but I'm not going to worry about that now. This is what I mean. This is much closer in the photo, but since it's painting, it really doesn't have to be. And it's just a warm-up. It's not to do anything other than just feel how it goes. So the nice thing about this now is that because I'm not bounding myself to the background, I can sort of like work from a darker up to a lighter in terms of the image itself, the focus, and then I can do the opposite and go from a darker to a lighter on the background to just give it that, it's just going to make it stand out a bit, which is very cool. And then I'm not going to do the whole background, I'm just going to sort of like suggest that there's a background with really scrapey painting marks, because at the end of the day it's a painting, so it should look a little bit like a painting. Yeah, so I'm just going to give the background some vibe and body here. We go for that darker to lighter situation. Again, I'm more suggesting than anything else right now, so I'm not really bothered with too much being too harsh on the color being right and that kind of thing. So I want to go I want to make it brown. So this is a trick that I learned. Is this isn't wet enough to use anymore now. I actually make a purple, right? So I'm gonna go for this purple. So I'm gonna take some red, and then making my paint dirty. I'll add some blue, and then here's my secret. In order to turn it into a brown, I'm going to add some yellow, and I'm going to add specifically cadmium because it makes it a bit dirty. I'm going to add some cadmium there, and just and then it turns into a brown. So it's not a fantastic brown, we're not going for a fantastic anyway, so that's okay. But it's a brown. And then depending on how light or dark you want it, you make it a lighter purple and then add the yellow, or darker purple and then add the yellow. Try not to first make the purple that's almost the brown and then add the yellow. if that makes sense, I'm very impressed by you. So it's really watery. Really watery. This is actually super similar to the colour that I need to be going for anyway, so that's kind of cool. So I'm just going to just suggest here. I'd waited before, but between talking and stuff, it's become a little bit more, it's become dry. So it's not really functioning the way I wanted it to anymore. Let's get it. So this is not going to be perfect. This is going to be actually, in terms of a painting, fairly horrible. But that's kind of the point here. It's supposed to look, you know, it's supposed to be loose and with no expectations, and just going for that vibe and that feel, which is literally my aim here. Just add some colour in between here. We can fix it later. It's a joy of painting, right? Start sounding like Bob Ross. Okay. So this yellow is popping through a lot here, but that's because this is super watery. A bit in there. Some more bulk here. So I'm not gonna immediately add some yellow to lighten it up a bit. And then just give it a dash of water again. Nice and thin. Just going for green now. Not too much, but it's going for green. It's a lot of blue in this purple. I think I might have still got some blue on my brush. And just start lightening this up towards the bottom. Right, so time kind of caught up. The SD card was full, so I needed to empty it out quickly. It's a tiny little camera, and it's a tiny little SD card, so it only lasts that long. I couldn't remember what I was talking about. It's just chatting, I guess, talking about what I'm busy with on the thing, yeah. And how it turns out and how things fit together. I think my roommates are probably very disturbed by how strange I am. I've made videos before, obviously, but they never hear when I do it, so it's kind of unusual. This quarantine thing. Well, not quarantine, lockdown. We're in, you know, South Africa's in lockdown. I'm not usually one to comment on politics or that kind of thing. I like listening what other people say because it's interesting to just, you know, in general hear people's opinions. But in this case, I think in a certain sense I'm fairly proud of our president having decided to do this. So that's okay-ish, hey? Let's get into this. So I'm going to go back to this tiny little paint brush. Well, it's not tiny, but it's, you know, fairly small. And I mean, it's seen better days, the poor thing. But that's okay. It's not here for perfection. Okay, so I'm going to be mixing what I need as I need it. I'm going to start with, just maybe give this a second to just dry that a little bit more. I wonder if wiping is going to help. So that I'm working on top of it and not mixing it like it happened here in some spots, which is not the end of the world, but, you know, I'd rather be on top of dry paint. Let's remove this little bit of excess over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom here. There's sort of like a purplish red, so a little bit more in that direction, but, you know, a lot redder. Purplish red brown, if that's a color. This is what I'm calling it. That's sort of along the bottom here. And I don't think it's the light or anything. I think it's the actual bottom color of the various the mushrooms themselves. So I'm just going to give like a couple of spots of that towards the bottom and on the outer edge here, and then on the one side here where the shadow is. I'll just mix some. I'm going to do it on top of this again. So some red, and I want to go for that, so I'm add a tiny little bit of blue so that we're going for that colour. There we go. And then we want to add a drop of water. And then I'm going super watery now. I really don't care how she turns out. If I like her a lot, I'll work over her in oils at some point. Him, it, I don't know why I refer to it as being female. It's kind of weird. I'm weird, what can I say? Just, I should not do that. I add a drop of yellow to just give it that brownish effect. This is what I mean by, you know, brown is actually purple with a little bit of yellow in it. Especially when you're mixing paints. Do approach it like that. So this one's got very little at the bottom. And like a smudge at the bottom. Yeah, that's not red enough. That is not near red enough. That's way too much like the background. So add a good dose of red here. Just bring it all in. So when I'm working with oils, I'll do this with the palette knife. Oh, I think this is almost too red now, but it's fine. I think if it's making the contrast we're looking for, that's fine. Yeah, it's making the contrast. That's good. And then along the bottom here, so this one kind of climbs onto that one like that. And then here. And then this is actually quite round. I'm not going to try and fix that now. And then it just goes up a tiny bit. Just this little choo. Got a much bigger spot on the side. So it is affected by the light, but sort of this one at the back here is not showing any of that colour, neither is that one. I think the light is shining right through them, so you're getting a super light colour. And then over here, this one's got fairly big flash at the bottom here. And then this is kind of central. I think the light's coming through the bottom. And then here it comes up a little bit. So that direction. There we go. Nice and happy with that. And then this one is sort of in on the top and on the outer edge on the bottom. And then, oh gosh, this one's got a dash over there. So there we go. Okay, so I'm going to stick to this colour and I'm just going to slowly bring it up into, it's sort of like a beigey colour, so it's going to move into this beigey colour. Just add some water to just bring it all in again. There we go. And then I should really use a different brush. Something that's got a little bit more firmness. Okay, so I'm going to start adding lemon yellow instead of the cadmium. So I wanted that little bit of whiteness that comes with the lemon yellow. I'm just gonna add a decent amount, and then just chew. There we go. So it's going to start looking pinker and pinker and pinker, and then, well, you know, as opposed to redder and redder and redder. And then we just add a little bit how it comes to get there. This meets on the edge here. So while it's wet, it's not going to look very much different, but as add the colours. My roommates are busy talking. So we're on day 2 of lockdown, and no, I'm an artist and a slight recluse. It doesn't really bother me, but it's kind of entertaining seeing them. They're snackish now. Just give it some. So there's a reflection at the bottom here, so I don't want to go too dark. So I'm gonna just go in until there. And give this a slight edge here where it starts getting light on that side. And then I'm going to give this guy an edge on the stem piece and over here. So I can see this is a mess. It's a fantastically beautiful mess. Add a drop of water there. This goes fairly clean. Add some yellow. a bit more. Here we go. Got this. The music I'm listening to now actually sounds like I'm the Gladiator soundtrack. It's quite cool. I love and hate the Gladiator soundtrack. So yeah, slowly start smoothing this out. Not too much. Like I said, it is a painting. It's not a photo. So there's no point in trying to make it look like a photo. There, this guy's got like a nice smattering of this tone over there, color tone thing. This is on the outer edge over here where it's fairly round, and then it's about like that, and then it's got like a weird little color crown vibing over here. And then the sky has got, okay, I'll put some light on top of this one, and then that stem's too wide, so I'm just going to stick to this. There we go. And then we've got some of that light I was speaking about just now at the bottom here, and we just shove some of this in here. Get that. So I'm going to point out again, this is not, I'm not trying to achieve anything but, you know, getting my hand in here. And then add some more yellow. Okay, I think this is the last time I'm only adding yellow. I need to start adding a little bit of white to bring that light up. But I think the majority is going to start looking like this now. So add some more yellow. There we go. There we go. That's very nice. So it's not exact. I keep making apologies. You know exactly what I'm trying to achieve here. So see, this guy's like this. So on the outer edge, this is going to be very light. The outer edge here, I'll bring some light up from there. I'm not going to bother with that one. I'll just do the light there. This one's got a crown from this, so it's going to go like that. Just add some edging over here. And then this one's practically, this whole thing is this colour, and then it's got these light pieces coming through, so this is on the edge here at the bottom, and then yeah, this yellow is going to really bother now, but that's okay. I went a bit bold on the yellow, so yeah, just give it an edge at the top and an edge at the bottom. Okay, and then start doing this, and then these stems are basically this colour, but they have that lightness to them as well. So there you go. Actually, I think the yellow is going to make a nice effect. I should actually have a tiny dash of purple into, sort of like make it feel as though the yellow is super on purpose. There we go. It's actually a cool idea. I'm going to make the background, I'm going to give it a purple tinge. And there's light pieces that are coming through here. I'm going to do the same here that I'm doing with which one? This one and that one. I'm just going to basically turn it into this colour and then just add that lightness underneath it. And then here, top edge, just give it boom. And this one, slowly start lightening her up. There we go. So now I'm going to add some white. It's an odd white, you'll experience it now, not too much. And some more yellow, so that we don't lose that colour quality at least. And then here we go. This is excellent. The funny thing is when I'm painting, I do talk to myself about this stuff. I just don't do it out loud where people can hear me. So it's kind of an interesting experience to do like a play-by-play. Oh, I'm gonna mess with that colour because I mixed now. And this edge needs to be a little bit sharper. Okay. They're not looking really bad. They're not looking fantastic, but they're not looking bad, especially for a really quick, you know, shoving it together type painting. There we go. It's really quiet in the lounge, so now I'm extra self-conscious about speaking to myself. Well, not myself, the camera, the video, potentially in the future 2 or 3 people, depending on how bored my fellow South Africans are right now and how much I just wanna give this a more pertinent sort of visible edge over there. Get this slight mixing, very slight. I think I'm gonna have to bring just a little bit of lines in with a really fine brush to just sort of show the difference. I think that's where the purple can come in, so it should work quite well. Got the light here, this one on the edge is very light. There we go. And I'm just going to do this because if I can bring some accent to the stems so that they're not plain old boring stems. Nobody wants plain old boring stems anyway. That, and then I'm just going to be a little bit crazy and add like a bash of red to the corner here, and then they're very quiet now. Okay, so we've decided that this one that's at the back here is just disappearing. Give this one an edge there, an edge there. There you go. So that's not completely crap. Okay, so I'm going to be using this fine brush and turn that into a slight purple, but I'm going to go for this purple so that the yellow and the purple can talk to each other. Well, if they do, if yellow and purple generally talk to each other, that would be... There we go, that's nice. That's actually a really cool colour. Just adding a little bit of yellow. Look at how the difference there. That's insane. Just a little bit of yellow. Okay, I'll just move this so I can be a little bit more on top of her. Actually works really well. I'm going to leave that. Give this a better edge here. There. There you go. And then this guy at the back here has absolutely no personality, so we're just going to give him some personality. There we go. This actually should be lighter because the light's coming through like from the back like this, but so be it. Okay, let's meet them here with this colour. And then I'll come in with this light yellow and just sort of do this marrying situation. They're making a strange baby colour. Needs to be redder. She needs to be oranger. Yeah, it needs to be oranger. Because now it's sort of not speaking to the rest of them. Just add this everywhere so it doesn't look too out of place. There you go. This is very light. I shouldn't have worked so sort of sparingly, but that's okay. There we go. So now it doesn't look dead anymore. And then I wanted to give this guy the bottom edge as well. Again, I'm messing with what the light was supposed to do here, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. Do this. I really hope the sound, like I'll fix the sound in editing. This sound is going to be interesting. Okay, that's fine. And just give this a little bit of personality from the inside here. Just a little bit. So it's got a stem that's kind of like bending over the top here. But I think I'll just let the imagination work there. No, that's too perfect. That's way too perfect. Okay, let's mess this up a bit. There we go. That's better. Slight edge at the bottom. So there's actually a lot of light going on there, but if I give it an edge here, it should do a little bit of contrast. Okay, and then I'm going to do an insane light saturation. A little bit more white. Make it a little bit thicker. So I'm basically gonna make this sort of like weird yellow, and this is gonna be the highlight on practically everything. There we go. Okay, so this light at the bottom here, give it a bit of boom, 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 boom. There's a line here, boom, and a line here, boom. Oh, I love highlights. Like something that's sort of like dead and suggestionless becomes boom. There we go. It's a bit of water. Doesn't be quite so thick. Maybe yeah. Clippy Sangola. The true South African way of doing things, right? We're in lockdown and we got brandewyn. There we go. Just give us a, doesn't look like it's actually edging on each other there. I keep speaking so softly, I'm sorry. That's okay-ish. This one, it's got a lot of white here. I don't want to mess with that colour that I added, but give it a bit of, there we go. Oh, that's actually quite cool. Like I feel like I want to fix this mess, but I feel as though the rest is sort of like rough and suggestive enough to not really take away from the feel and atmosphere that it's trying to. Just make sure you know that these two are separate. That's cool. And this one I'm going to be bold and crazy now and just say there's a bit of a bottom edge coming out here. There we go. And it's got a lot of light over here. It's got a lot of light towards the center. It really looks like it's kind of see-through. Not, what's a translucent? Not transparent. And then this is getting really dry now, but I don't want to add more water. I'm sort of reaching the end of the end of the rainbow here. So these actually cross. I'm gonna mess with the crossing vibe now, so I'm just gonna do this. There we go. And then I'm going to make this entire one lighter. Okay, I'm adding more water. Make this entire stem lighter. Choo, 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 choo. My music's finished, now it's really quiet. Choo, choo, choo. Yeah, okay, so these are quite light. They're very, very light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another mix. Let's use this guy. I shouldn't leave them in there like that, but you know, I'm not going to worry. So what I was saying about the yellow is to make the yellow really stand out is by changing the background and giving it a little bit more sort of purple. So I'm going to literally mix some
Prussian and Cobalt. So I got that light white vibe coming through. And then I'm going to add a bunch of the Losran. And then there's enough white hanging around here so that if I'm doing this, it's going to pick up some of that white. Oh, this is not nearly purple enough. This is way too blue. See how they feel. Oh, this is good. This is actually very good. I can add some red, not too much. This is actually, as far as a complementary goes, this is going to work really well. So I'm doing that thing again where I first mix the purple, right? And then I just add a suggestion of yellow. So I'm going to go for the cadmium, which is the yellow that I was using, the yellow that's popping through. I add some of that, just like a smattering, just suggest that there might be a brownishness to it, as opposed to just a straight up purple. Okay, and then I'm not worried too much about covering up the background or anything like that. I just want to make the yellow pop, and I want to close up the yellow that's hanging around here. So if I can suggest those pieces of wood that were hanging around, go like that, and this piece here, just suggest it completely, literally just suggest it, give this some, yeah, I got a piece of wood here, use it to cover up. Yeah, piece of wood here. Just give this upper edge an edge. Okay. I'm going to add more as we go. I just don't want to cover up the background completely, because I think it's going to remove from the aesthetics of it is. And I kind of like it. It's not fantastic. It's not perfect. No one's going for perfect. Perfect's boring anyway. Way too much talking. Feels like my what do you call you klein dommetje? What is it in English anyway? It's probably some weird fancy word that I just can't think of right now. It feels like I'm vibrating in my throat, which is kind of weird. Which technically it does when you're speaking, I think. But it's kind of extra weird right now. I found myself actually thinking about a lot of people that I haven't thought of in like a long time, simply because of the lockdown. Just thinking, what are they up to during the lockdown? You know, where are they? Like, you know, old friends and random people that I went to school with and stuff. Okay, so I've got the general yellow covered. Let's give this what's this name? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn just a bit of it into a wash. But I think I should probably just let this dry for a second before I attempt the wash. So it's actually got something to soak into as opposed to going and lying on top of the already wet paint. So the idea I'm going for is that. I think it's just going to help so that it doesn't look like too much like I just shoved this purple on top. Which is what I did, but you know, unless you watch this video you don't need to know that. And you can already just see with this one how it's standing out, which is really cool. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. They're just a little bit random. This is literally cardboard, and then I have 5 cents stuck inside so that it's got some weight on it. And then that's my baby easel. There's always one another plan one can make. Yeah, it really does sound like the Gladiator soundtrack. I wonder. Let me check. Yeah, all it says is epic celestial orchestral music mix, but it sounds like the soundtrack from who did the soundtrack for Gladiator anyway? I know there's like an Enya song in there. Gladiator soundtrack. And it's gonna be a Hans Zimmer again. Yep, it's Hans Zimmer. I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of Hans Zimmer. Okay, I'm a big fan of movie soundtracks in general. The epic big sounds, and something that's becoming less and less common now, especially with sort of like the saturation of music that's available, is people using established things to when they're scoring movies, as opposed to writing too much of the music themselves. And I really like it when they write the music themselves. I like it when